Hey people, my name's Carl and welcome to Game On.
We're doing a bit of a after-game report. We've got Jank playing Hinata, we've got me playing Kodama Sakashima, we've got Tundra playing Kenny, and Josh playing Winota. Take it away, Jank.
Yeah, that was fun. that last turn was literally the choice of making, right? So all three of you were threatening something, and the only thing that I had in my hand that would do anything was the twin shot sniper, which is that new channel card. Which pay 1 a red, channel, discard it, and deal 2 damage to any target, permanent or any target. So I was like, if you're going off manners, I had a feeling that the Tireless Provisioner was coming out. Tundra's already threatened it with Sanctum Weaver. I'm like, okay, I could keep that. And then, Winota doing its Winota things. And I'm like, do I have another turn to play in Winota or not? And nah, that obviously didn't. Not gonna lie, all of my draws were this 3 land and that plains. I just every draw I had was a land. I'm like, this is not great.
Yeah, I set that previous turn cycle with the creature in hand to pitch to survival, but everyone had like a mana up or something, and I thought, nah, rather be patient, give it a turn, and then that's when the Glow Rider came out, and I thought, yes, if everyone taps out, no interaction.
Sometimes that's all it takes, man, is just waiting for the exact right time. I mean, my hand, I had a Fimage, I just drew the title ball, Memory Jar, and Step Through. So my next turn was probably going to consist of me attempting to get Sakashima out. If I'd have done that, then I would have put Memory Jar out. I would have Fimaged on the Tireless Provisioner. I would have cracked the Memory Jar. And then what would I have drawn in the next 7? Was that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? And the next 7 would have given me a Forest, a Crypt, Finale. That's pretty fair. Ancient Tomb. There's half my win con, Maloku, and Gush. So there's 2 more cards to draw.
Finale probably fetches you your other half.
Well, the thing is if I'd have finished the Tireless, I had a Boro there, which I would have just kept bouncing and getting treasures. So I would have had infinite treasures off the Kodama Sakashima triggers outright. I would have had infinite treasures, and then I would have just emptied this hand with what I had left. Finale doesn't give trample, but it does give haste, so depending on what creatures were untapped, I don't think it would have made that much of a difference, the Finale. But with the Aboro out and then Maloku, I would have had infinite critters as well. Just sort of see what happens. What were the next 2 cards, just out of interest? So, Spirit Guide and Endurance.
Yeah. If you had held your Summoner's Pact for 1 turn, not even 1 turn, instead of doing it at JD's end step, like 2 turns, like 2.
I actually could have stopped it as well. Like so this is my first choice. My first 6, my first trigger from Winota was a Rionya, a Rick, a Mogcatcher, an Apparition, which obviously isn't a human, a Canonist, and a Recruiter of the Guard. So I was either looking at the Recruiter of the Guard for the dock side, the Canonist, but I was looking at the board state at the time. It didn't look like the Canonist was going to do a lot. But I should have just always gone the Canonist, really.
Well,
I chose Rionya for the extra trigger in the next turn, but this is a horror. Like, I don't really want to see all these in 1/6, but that could have actually stopped him from.
That would have stopped Tundra. It wouldn't have stopped me once I got Sakashima out. Yeah.
But I'm just showing the one misplay that I should have gone for the Canonist. Always go for the rule, or
always go for the stacks.
Well, I mean, my opening hand was two dorks, a couple of lands, and the Tainted Pact and the Enlightened Tutor. And I thought, if you can slow the board down enough, I can just tutor out my win con based off of you slowing the board down. Otherwise, I have no interaction. So I can
play anything. A similar. I think I play a similar Kenrith deck to you, where I'd try and stacks, and I'd go through stacks pretty well as well.
Yeah.
I love Kenrith.
See, it looks like your Kenny build is almost the same as sort of Evolution Kenny. I don't think
it's
Sanctum Weave is in Evolution Kenny from memory,
it's
but
not.
yeah.
I play a combination of Evo and the mid range one.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So I take the mid range, Pim's Aura and the other one that gives, and I've got 2 or 3 different Sanctum Weaver type creatures in here for the infinite mana of the enchantments. And then it runs. What I don't run from the Evo list is the extra turn and the is a couple of those spells that it plays. But I take other bits and pieces from the Evo one and have moved it into the mid range one, like the Ephemerate off of a Dockside or a Spellseeker.
That extra turn spell, that comes in handy, man. Look at the last
Yeah.
game. So while we're here, we might as well say that the reason Jank's on Moxfield is because he's trying out one of the new cards from Kamigawa, this Hinata. So give us a description on what the basics of this deck are, what are your win cons, and what are you looking to do with Hinata?
Pretty much, this was a terrible example of keeping this hand. So I kept a hand that only had 2 lands, but a lot of different sort of value things. So my opening hand was, I mean, I just got really bad with draws. So opening hand was kind of look like this. That there. I chose this simply because a couple of lands get a reality chip out, which is good. Icy Blast and the channel effects, because I needed to hopefully slow down the Winota turn 2 for when Winota comes out turn 2, hit that dork that's going to do things with the channel. And then these two are just literally, this is a storm value piece here. So every time I cast anything, it's just going to net me a mana to keep going off.
So what is
Imperial,
that card? I know what Imperial
so that's
Recruiter is.
Storm
Kiln.
So
Okay.
yeah. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, get a treasure token. So with Hinata and a lot of these 1-cost spells, they're really, really handy because you just keep churning through your library. This Imperial Recruiter was going for something that just draws. So usually Archmage Emeritus, because whenever you cast an instant sorcery, draw a card. But essentially, this is like a very, very X or target spell heavy storm deck. So it utilizes things like, Smoldering Egg as ways to control the board. So, the flip side of this is if it wants to turn over, whenever you cast an into a sorcery, deal 2 damage. So it just pings things away a lot, but most of the time it's just looking to get out Hinata really fast and control the board with very weird niche cards like Meteor Blast, Curse of the Swine, very, very weird cards like that, and then assemble a combo with either Isochron Scepter, or we have some loops with copy spells and Storm Kiln Artist to create infinite treasures, and then just really storm off from there and win through a different couple of outlets that are just no like dead outlets, more just value outlets like Ashmouth Dragon, etc., where you can just win from there. It runs weird cards like Magma Opus, that is an 8 mana cost card, but with Hinata out, considering it targets 6 different things, it turns it into a 2 mana card. So it's more just trying to get value off really, really weird things, and control the board until you can assemble a win.
Well, the good thing about what you just said is I had no idea what your deck did until you explained that. So thank you very much. That was actually helpful, and I know what to be careful of now.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it actually does look like an interesting deck from what I've seen. You're utilizing cards that are not utilized that much, if at all, in CEDH.
Yeah, like here's a really weird card you'll probably never see, but it is very relevant even when you face like a Winota deck. So things like Aurelia's Fury is a really good card. You can pay 2 mana, target everything on the board, and what it does is deals 1 damage to all of them. Then any player that's dealt damage is silenced.
Oof. Yeah, that would be handy. How resilient is the deck, though? I mean, how well will you do without your commander on the field?
Without the commander on the field, it's still not bad. So there's not a lot of big spells that do a lot, like that, like cost a lot and are useless without it. So the only 2 real big spells that are horrible if Hinata isn't out is like that Magma Opus. Just because you're never going to cast it for 8 mana, right? The benefit of that card is if Hinata isn't out, you can discard it and create a treasure token. So if it's at a point where you're just never going to get Hinata out, you're still getting a little bit of value from there, which is not too bad, and it fuels a couple of other things. The other card that's in here that's probably a dead card without Hinata is Volcanic Eruption and where's the other one? Mass Manipulation. So these 2 cards are really heavy cost, but if Hinata's out, it can be it cuts it down a lot. Even though this is for 4 blue mana still, with Hinata and another cost reducer, so like Goblin Archaeomancer, I think he is, reduces all instants and sorceries by 1. You can kind of just get a little bit more value out of it, and it is sometimes relevant. I don't know about this card though. I'm still testing it. This card is my meme card. It's Volcanic Eruption. It's literally land destruction and with a Blood Moon. There are little bits of stacks in here, Blood Moon, a couple of other different things. But this card is literally just pay 3 mana and target everyone's lands because they're all mountains. Destroy them all, and then deal damage to each creature and each player for each mountain destroyed. It's kind of like a really weird little piece, but for 3 mana, it still shuts off people's mana.
That's an old school card, man. I remember getting those back in the day when I first started playing.
With a Blood Moon in play, Volcanic Eruption is just a straight Blasphemous Act on top. That's rude.
Yep.
Like for 3 mana, that's insane.
3 mana, destroy all lands.
Target everyone else's lands, and that's really good. I really
and
like
it
that.
also hits people for a chunk for every land that's destroyed. So if we're at a point now where there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lands on the field.
I mean, that's 10 to each creature. That's really good.
Yeah, 10 to each creature, each player, destroy everyone's lands, and then I'm just sitting here at a point where I'm like, all right, let's keep going,
Play a land and let's start this again.
Yeah, start it again, and then I'm sitting here in a position of almost control with all of my lands. Sure, I'll have to cast, like, say, Hinata again. At that point, it's like, that's fine. I'm still sitting in a really good control spot. So it's a nice little flavor thing.
I'm guessing you've got a standard suite of rocks in there as well.
Oh yeah. That was a silly hand to keep, but I just really wanted to try out Reality Chip on a back end, and I literally just kept the hand because Twin Shot was going to hopefully slow down the Winota turn 2. So that was a very nice way to test how well this deck does with no mana, and it didn't do well. So now I know the first game playing this deck as well, so it's a very good way to think of, I definitely got to keep hands with more rocks and more value rather than keep the 1 or 2 control pieces and some tutors. So it's a good tester. Good idea. It was fun.
I'll be interested to see what it does do when it goes off. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to like it, but it'll still be interesting to see.
It's got a lot of hey, don't do anything, and every turn it just gets to a point where you play something that just says no, don't play anything, which is quite interesting sometimes.
It definitely seems really different. I like how different it is. It's a very different approach.
Yeah, no, I like the look of it. I'll be interested to see how it goes when it does go off, and see what it can do, because it might. Seems like it's got potential to be a new CEDH commander.
I definitely think so. It's in the colors that definitely has the colors. It's just more, how do you play it? Like you can go the standard sort of Jeskai package and probably do fine, but it's it's a niche commander, so you might as well try the niche things out, right? Like when would you ever see Icy Blast in a CDH game, you know?
Turns out
Some
it'll
of
be
those
pretty
things.
handy against Winota.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And people's upkeeps when they go into a obviously win with like a, as I say, the Sanctum Weaver or something like that, you're just like, I'll just tap everything down. Yeah, it's just going to cost 1 mana, which is nuts.
Yeah, it's going to be insane. Well, we'll be playing more games with it, so we should get to see how it goes and what it does over the next few games, and we'll spread those out and see what happens from there. But yeah, we'll end that discussion there. And just to recap, Tundra playing Kenny pulled out a Thassa's Consult win on the 4th turn while everyone had shields down. So basically he timed it very well and it was game over.
Thanks for watching the After Game Review. We hope you found it useful, and don't forget to tune in for the next instalment from Game On.